Okay. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday to another episode of Guided by Spirit. I am your host, Richard LaRocco, with my amazing co-host, Miss Pauline Raffaella. And we have we have Mr. Blue here. He is the other co-host, and Venus is somewhere down there too. You could see the tail kind of coming in.
Yes, you can
So
see her black tail.
all hands and paws on deck.
Yes, we've got a black tail and a tabby. So if they put their head on the screen, it's because cats want to be seen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, welcome everyone. We have a great topic and a great episode today for you. We will be talking about forgiveness, the other F word. I know that kind of laughs, but forgiveness is hard. It is hard stuff, and we're going to get into that. If you have any questions you would like to ask Pauline or myself, connecting with loved ones, maybe what's going on astrologically for you, please call in. We are taking your calls here live. The phone number is 646 558 8656. Also, the meeting code 820 252 05181. It's all in the description, so please give us a call. We love to talk to you. If you're experiencing anything on this topic, or you just have something for Pauline and I, or just to say hi, very, very welcoming. We love talking to everybody. So please, we added a new segment. So we're going to be calling it Universally Speaking. And this is going to be something very informative. I love this topic because there's so much going on in the world and universally. So Pauline, why don't you take it away? Universally, what does the universe have for us?
Oh my goodness, so much the universe has for us. We just have to be open to it. Hi, Richard. How are you today?
I am great. Always amazing.
Good. And look at your Mr. Blue. He's quite the handsome guy.
Well, it doesn't fall too far from the tree. It's just, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So, okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Guided by Spirit. Universally speaking, I'd like to just give a brief little astrological update each week. And we talk so much about Pluto being in Aquarius. And did you know that today, May 2nd, Pluto in Aquarius now goes retrograde? Oh my goodness gracious. It's going to be retrograde. I could get to the exact dates, but it's going to be a long one. And so what does this mean? Well, when Pluto in and of itself is transformation, rooting out the darkness, right? Rooting out all the things that the shadow aspects. And so it's going retrograde now in Aquarius. So this means we should be prepared for more and more and more darkness, shadow aspects to be revealed, because the sign of Aquarius wants to bring us into harmony, brotherly love, unity, oneness, equality. And so this Pluto retrograde is going to go back now and start to look at, well, what isn't in unity? What isn't in harmony and equality? And that applies to us personally, but it definitely applies to the country that we're living in, the world we're living in. And so, just be prepared, because all of this shadow stuff needs to be revealed. And what I said to two of my clients this morning, I was like, just stay in the light. It doesn't mean you don't have, emotions. It doesn't mean you don't get angry or you don't get fearful for a moment. It doesn't mean any of that. In fact, that's just all impossible. So we're humans and we're going to have certain emotional reactions. Okay, that's fine. Just keep returning to the light, returning to your center. And so we can expect to we can expect to see this for quite some time. And I'm going to actually get you the exact dates, if I can, the exact dates on this. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact date. It goes retrograde today. When does it start going direct? Well, it might not go direct until November of this year, which means it's going to be spiraling back into Capricorn too for about 6 weeks. So listen, it's shadow work time, right? Don't you have books on Amazon, shadow work?
Love your shadow self. Hurting to Healing Publications. Go get your journal, prompted journal, not just blank pages.
Exactly. So this is going to be a very profound time for doing that, as we're also moving forward, as we're also progressing forward, because Aquarius is the sign of progression. So sometimes we got to spin back a little bit before we can progress forward in a new way. But that's going to be the energy for quite some time. I'll keep you all updated on that.
Have you noticed, Pauline, with the energy, there's been some like ebb and flows. There's been a lot of ups and downs. So I know coming out of the earthquake and the eclipse, there was some funky energy. It was almost like I want to go hide in the house, build a pillow fort,
Yep.
kind of like just relax, just kind of like peek out the window. If I don't have to do the 3D world or human too much, okay with me. But
Mhm.
then there was an uptick of, I noticed, and again, this is not my wheelhouse, I just speak energy, where there was a lot of chaos, almost like chaotic energy, almost like if you took like a bottle of soda and you shook it up, you could see the bubbles on the surface. Even though it may have not been impacting you directly, you knew something almost like disruptive or chaotic energy. Now it seems to be like almost a little energized.
Yes, we're living through like a mixed bag of energies.
Okay, so it's just not me. I'm not crazy. I just see dead people, right? So,
No, so you just see dead people, but you're not crazy. So, no, we're living through a mixed bag of energies, because what's happening is energetically we're shifting. And so there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of moving pieces to this energy. There is the piece of love and peace and harmony among some people, right? And there is the piece of prosperity and abundance. And then there's the piece of the shadow and the dark side and the anger, and the hatred and the breaking down of the shadow. So we're experiencing all of these pieces are moving pieces, like, in the same puzzle. Let's put it that way right now.
mhm.
So we can feel any one of those pieces at any moment. And so when your mind is really strong, and I've been working on this the last couple of years, really getting my mind strong and focused and staying exactly where I want to stay, where you find yourself staying in abundance, no matter what's going on around you. And it doesn't mean you put your head in the sand and you don't know what's going on around you, but
Yeah.
you stay focused in the abundance frequency or the peace frequency or the love frequency. You're able to stay in those vibrations more easily.
Hmm. That's interesting how that you do that. And actually, that's one of the things that when I learned and developed, my teacher would always say, let's do concentration techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar in the sense of I would do that so that I could hold the connection as long as I needed to deliver the message to the person receiving or sitter,
Mhm.
as we say. So I could always hold that connection as long as I needed. And I think that's fascinating that in this time, staying focused on what you're doing, where you're going, creating, manifesting, and
Mhm.
staying within that energy and that vibration, you can like it's almost like going underneath the tunnel and there's a hurricane up top. You're still going to get to where you want to go through the tunnel. You just won't have all the disturbance up top.
Right. So we can navigate this time period according to our consciousness. And that's why raising our consciousness and our ability to focus and stay in the light, even if you're angry one day, even if you're upset one day, get back into the that feeling and that consciousness of love and peace and unity, even if it's just within yourself. Yes, very, very important. We can do that. Last weekend, I spent 3 days by myself. I had said to the universe, I need some alone time. I need some time just for me because I've been working a lot. And lo and behold, my calendar cleared up completely. 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do these 3 days? And it was refreshing. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I wasn't online very much. I didn't answer phone too much unless I had to. I did a vegetable cleanse. I prayed, I meditated, I cried, I went to the beach, I went to a walk in the park. I spent 3 days with me, myself, and I. And boy, did I feel so good afterwards.
Mhm.
In fact, my friend Andrea messaged me and I messaged her back. We do a lot of voice messaging. And she said, "You sound amazing." She said, "Your tone, your voice." She goes, "You're just so chill." And I said, "Yeah, I got out of the stress." And so this is a wonderful thing to do. I highly recommend it when you
So
can, when you can.
when you can. And again, one of the things, and we're going to get into a lot today, but one of the things that people, why they don't take a lot of time for them is because one, they're people pleasing. Two, it's easier to put their attention and their focus onto others so that they don't have to go within and figure out and sort out this hot mess. Um, and it's just like, I don't want to do that today and I don't want to do this. But eventually it has to get done. And you have to sit in your own energy and get this right and take time for you. It's called mindfulness.
Yeah.
Um, so let me ask you a question with this kind of energetic upflux and just moving up and down influx of energy. um is there anything on a physical sense that we can do to kind of help our body, whether it's through herb remedy, maybe like natural stuff? Anything that you would suggest to our audience that's watching and listening, to help them?
Oh, there's so much natural medicine that I can recommend. Um, so if for the 3 days, like I started my day off with hydrogenated water and a quarter of a fresh squeezed lemon. So lemon helps to detoxify the liver.
Mhm.
So if you have a little bit of a fatty liver, if you have a little high cholesterol, if you feel your body needs like a little cleaning out, lemon water upon waking, okay, first thing you put into your mouth before you eat anything, lemon water will make a difference. It also helps to kind of burn fat. So, and it's very cleansing and detoxifying. So that's one thing. That's definitely one thing. Teas, herbal teas, liver detox teas, um, kidney teas, blood purification teas. Blood purification would be like a red clover, um, teas to help reduce anxiety, lemongrass, chamomile, even peppermint. So these are just a few things to keep in your pantry. I live off this stuff. I mean, I have lots of water during the day. I typically have like 2 cups of tea a day, different ones. Like right now, this is my lemon ginger. This morning
I love it.
I had my liver tea. So and I did have a little coffee. I did. So these are just some of the things that we can add. Now, ashwagandha, and I don't know if we spoke about this. We might have.
Mm-mm.
Ashwagandha is an amazing adaptogen herb. Ashwagandha, an
Yep.
amazing adaptogen herb. What is an adaptogen herb? It basically tones the entire body, all the organs. It releases stress. It
Yep.
helps combat cortisol levels from stress and anxiety, and it will help you sleep. So I know sleep could be, a problem these days with energies flying all over the place, worries,
Yes.
concerned, loved ones, all of that. But we need to make sure that we're getting enough sleep. So,
Absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of ashwagandha. I took it especially during the pandemic,
yes,
along with some adrenal support.
yes,
I use the brand Gaia, Gaia. Comes in glass bottles, non-toxic, pure, has some purity, organic. I found it to be very calming. It
yes,
was a natural anti-anxiety medication. I mean, it
yes,
worked just as it regulated me, especially during a time of a lot of unknowns in
yes.
my life. These things are very important. So we talk about the body, the mind and the soul component a lot. How to change the thought process. Again, where thoughts go, energy flows. But there's also where, things, natural remedies, teas, tonics, things like that we talked about. Lemon, first thing in the morning, empty stomach, hydrated water,
Mhm,
doing the ashwagandha in
mhm.
either pill form or sometimes even powder, but get the highest quality that you can afford. We always kind of talk about that. But these add another element to stabilize us through times that we have no idea what's going on.
And it's really true. And the body responds very well to natural medicine, as opposed to synthetic medicines. Okay. And herbs are natural medicines. And
Yep.
one of the reasons why our body responds to herbs, and herbs aren't, they're not as strong as pharmaceutical medicine, right? So sometimes you have to take more dosages, or you have to take it for a little bit longer, because it's not that one pill get relief kind of thing. It's the body, you're working with the body to strengthen it, to strengthen the immune system, to balance the nervous system. And herbs respond to, the body responds to herbs because going back hundreds of thousands of years, tens of thousands, whatever it is, we've been here on the earth. The human body is naturally in alignment with plant medicine because
Hmm.
it's of the earth.
Hmm.
Our body, it has not at a cellular level recognized pharmaceutical medicine. I'm not saying don't take it if you need it, but I'm saying the body has not yet figured out and recognized pharmaceutical medicine. It works, you can put it in, it digests it, and it works. But on a deep cellular level, the human body recognizes herb medicine.
I agree with that 1,000%.
Thousands of years, going back to
Yes.
ancient Chinese
Yes.
and the Native American Indians, going way, way, way back.
Yes. And it's, listen, case in point is when you listen, you see one of the commercials that come on TV, for one of these, pharmaceuticals that, drugs that are the hot button at the moment. Wait till the end of the commercial, and then they give you the whole laundry list, grocery list of all the things wrong with you. And when you start one, you end up on three more. And that's just kind of the progression because the body is not absorbing it and it is not healing on the level that it needs to.
Right.
Um, I
Right.
agree with a 10,000%. And if anybody has any questions out there, again, about maybe doing some natural forms of healing, please give us a call. I mean, Pauline has so much experience in this. I have little experience, but I have my own healing journey, which happened naturally. And even, my dog, she has lymphoma, cancer, autoimmune, SARS, which caused blindness. She's on about 9 different Chinese herbs. And come July, it's been a year. She's still alive. They only gave her 3 months to 6 months with oral chemo and things like that, and she's thriving. All of her numbers are coming down. She's starting to regain vision in quadrants of the eyes. Again, it
Wow.
does not just pertain to us as humans, but also our fur children. Anything
Yes.
that has life force energy responds to something that came from life force energy.
Yes. Well, and herbs are life force energy.
Yes,
Herbs are
from the
concentrated
ground.
foods.
Yes,
If
yes.
you were lost in the forest and you were an herbalist and you could recognize certain herbs and foods and bulbs and roots, you could survive.
100%. And then
So they're concentrated foods meant to rebuild the body and the systems.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
even going into that and that
Yeah.
little and if you guys want to, anybody out there wants to hear more about this, we can do a deep dive into even aspects of natural remedies, healings, or herbs to also help your healing process, your healing energy. If you do Reiki, if you do a healing modality, even your connection. So we can kind of go into this. This is, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. But so thank you for that amazing segment. Universally speaking, I
Love it.
love it. We actually have our first caller. And before we take this caller, I do want to talk about. So today, you and I talked about this, and this comes up a lot about our topic today, and it's forgiveness. Forgiveness, such a simple word, but one of the hardest things to wrap your mind around, get yourself to do, forgive, but also a couple of things: forgive others, forgive ourselves, accept forgiveness, right? Sometimes we want to hold a grudge. So, do you want to kind of like start, or should we take our call and then roll into this? What do you want to
Well,
do,
I
Pauline?
think you've set the preface by talking about the forgiveness. So why don't we take the caller and then get back to a deeper dive into the act of forgiveness? And
I love that.
we're going to talk about a lot of different things, what it means karmically to forgive, why people
Yes.
don't. I have a lot of perspectives on this. So why don't we
All
take the
right.
caller first?
Let's take the caller.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you for calling. What is your name and where are you from?
This is
Oh,
Yvonne, and I am from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
hi, Yvonne.
I
How are
knew
you, my dear?
I knew it was Yvonne. I don't know how I knew, but I knew.
You must be psychic. All right,
Yes,
Yvonne.
she
Thank you
must
for
be. Must be.
must be. Thank you for calling in. What is your question or what do you want to talk about today?
I would like. I need somebody to guide me with forgiving myself. I'm able to forgive others, but I'm having a real hard time forgiving myself for stupid things I did earlier in my in my life.
Do you want to
Well,
take this, Pauline, or
so I'll start, Richard, and you'll finish.
yeah,
You'll start, or I'll finish. And so, wow, I totally understand you, Yvonne. Self-forgiveness is sometimes the hardest piece of all because it's like a real recognition that, a brick on the head that we're imperfect and that maybe we have hurt someone or we have done something stupid. And it's a very hard thing because I am certain you, like so many of us, we would never intentionally do that. We're not intentionally trying to hurt someone. So when we recognize that maybe we have, or the stupid things we've done, or it's a recognition that we're imperfect. And you probably have to go into the inner child or the part of you that was at the age that that thing happened. Could it be 10 years
Okay.
old? Could have been 20 years old? Could have been 30, whatever. You probably have to go back to that self and have a talk with that self and understand maybe why you did what you did. And sometimes we know why we did what we did. Sometimes we don't. But that's where the healing piece is. And that level of understanding that we will begin to have within ourselves helps us forgive others.
Okay. That's
Also,
really, yes.
Also, Yvonne, I'd like to mention too, a lot of times people think, and if you notice how when you ask the question of I made some stupid mistakes
Right.
earlier on in my life, you have to realize too, a lot of times they're not stupid mistakes. They're means of survival. They're means of being a coping mechanism. And as we start really getting into this, we want to look at this is also becomes part of our healing. So as we're healing and we're releasing and removing the aspects of our life, but we also have to be gentle with ourselves and know that what you were going through in that time of your life where you made choices thinking that they were the right choices for you. Okay, we need to be a little bit more gentle and kind of also go into it and place it in our mind so that we can understand it better, saying I did what I needed. It is a means of survival. Okay, because
Okay.
a lot of times we think, oh, it's a stupid mistake, I shouldn't have done this, but in that moment that was the only clarity that you had. So when we understand we were doing the best we could in that moment with what our surroundings and what we knew, right? It becomes a little bit easier to understand, you know what? I can forgive that because I was just doing the best I could in that moment,
Right.
whatever it is. So we have to place it in our mind to make it a little bit more understandable than a stupid mistake. A stupid mistake is, I don't know, driving 120 down the road, getting in a 35, getting pulled over
Yeah.
by the cops and not stopping. That's stupid. Okay.
That is stupid. Yes.
But wanting to numb, wanting to kind of like escape reality at times, overindulgence of, emotional stuff, whether it's eating, whether it's being in unhealthy situations, whatever that is, those are dysfunctional coping mechanisms. But we don't understand that until we're on the other side of the bridge.
Right.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. I can see that. Yes.
It's
So
all
when you wonder,
a
when you
learning, right? It's all
yeah,
learning. It's a learning. They're learning experiences if we take the judgment out of them.
we have to take the judgment out, including the judgment for ourselves. And I think this is a really great point and segue. And thank you so much, Yvonne, for calling in with this, because a lot of times people don't understand when they're doing this thing called shadow work, right? What they don't understand, which you can find on Amazon, Hurting to Healing Publications. Sorry, cheap plug. But what people don't understand is they go through all these cord cuttings and removing and forgiving of loved ones, family, friends, situations, but they forget the most important person to forgive.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong, Pauline, and I would love to hear your little nuggets of wisdom on this, is we forget to heal or forgive ourselves.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm hearing now to share with Yvonne and everyone who's listening. When you have a situation like that, you can, on a piece of paper, write down what you perceive to be the mistake or the thing that you kind of wish you hadn't done. Okay. You could write it
Okay.
underneath that, write down what you learned from it about yourself, what you learned about yourself from it.
Okay.
Okay. Write down what you've changed or healed from it, from that situation.
I'm doing that now. Yeah.
What changes have you made? And so if you can get through all three of those steps, then write down, I now give myself permission to forgive me. Because that is coming from a place of compassion for yourself. I am sure you have compassion for so many people. We have
Yes.
compassion for people, so we don't have compassion for ourselves. So you write down the mistake, you write down what you learned from it, you write down what changes you've made or are making, okay? And then sit with that. See how you feel with that. Then write down, I now give myself permission to forgive me.
I've just done all that, and it's a little easier now for me to understand.
Good. Well, understand
Yes.
gives us clarity, right? And when we have clarity, oftentimes that we can let go. I think sometimes we don't let go because maybe we don't have clarity. And Richard, you said it once in another show. If we don't have the closure that we need, we can hang on to the trauma bond kind of thing, or
Yes.
just the situation. So understanding why, I love what you said, Richard, too, about we do the best we can, at any given moment, coping mechanisms, whatever it is. So
Mhm.
we've got to be a little gentle with ourselves. We're human. We live in a world of duality. There is no such thing as perfection.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that to be easier on myself. It's
Yes.
it's a hard lesson for me, but
Yes.
my thing is if I can forgive what others have done to me, I should be able to forgive myself.
And it's not easier, it's easier said than done, because
Yes.
what it does is that it opens up the door for a lot of healing, meaning is that what occurred, a lot of times people don't want to even understand or recognize what they've been through, right? So you want to
Right.
kind of, you want to, you have to own what you experienced. I experienced this. I am sorry that I had to experience ba 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 ba. Whatever
Right.
that might be, we need to really dive in. We need to forgive ourselves for carrying sometimes that trauma for years, right? So you
Yes.
want to know that when we're doing this, we have to be gentle on ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves for going through this, because a lot of the trauma that we experience is not something we asked for, but it happens. It is, we have to deal with it. But we sat with these feelings. We were made to feel a certain way. And as part of that almost inner child work, you have to go up to that child, and Pauline nailed it. At what age does that resonate with you? What age does that mean for you? Because if you say 11 or 12 years old, well, guess what? I may have experienced it when I was 3, where the first real traumatic stuff happened. And then I've
Okay.
carried it now, 40 years, whatever that
Okay.
is. Then I have to forgive my inner child. I am sorry you've carried this with you. I am sorry you were not loved, or however that works for you, right? So
Right.
forgiving is very hard of yourself. Um, but it's a huge step, and it is the most important step on the healing journey.
I agree with that. That is my hardest part on this journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
whatever situation happened, really, it doesn't even have to be from childhood. It could be from adulthood.
Right.
It could be in your
Correct.
30s, your 40s, your 50s, depending upon how
Yes.
old you are. And just Richard, to your point, one of the things that I do with people when I know they need to go back and heal something that's happened is we do a little regression, but I do have them envision their inner child at whatever age it needs to show up, or perhaps the adult, and say to that person, I am so that you're saying to yourself, your inner child,
Correct.
I am so sorry that this happened to you, that you had to endure that. There's something about saying those words to yourself that is so
Yes.
deeply healing, because oftentimes we don't even really hear that from people. So, or anybody.
That's very
no
true.
one,
Yes.
no one has said to that wounded part of you, child or adult, I'm really sorry that you had to experience that. And that makes a big difference.
It's a huge difference. It's a
Yeah.
huge. Do you see that, Yvonne?
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, do you see where you were once we start applying the kind of understanding that you were just doing the best you could in that moment? Now, all of a sudden, that I'm sorry card that you want to place within yourself and your subconscious starts to look a little bit better.
I think so.
Yeah, starts to become a
Yes.
little easier.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Yvonne.
Thank
Yvonne, do
you.
you have any other questions?
No, I just want to tell Pauline thank you when she helped me cut that cord. And
Oh,
it helped immensely. Thank you.
oh, that makes me so happy. Incredible.
Yes.
And you know what the miracle too of this is? First and foremost for you, Yvonne, but also for
Yes.
listeners and people to realize how powerful energy work can be. We did that on the
Oh,
air.
yes, we
You and
did.
I have never met. And
No.
we did that on the air in a matter of a couple of minutes. This is how
Yes.
powerful we are as human beings
Oh,
together.
it made a big difference. It really did, because it was just like a burden was gone.
Well,
And I wanted to let you know that, first of all, thank you very much, but that it helps so much.
well, my pleasure. That makes me very happy for you. Very happy.
I
Okay, well,
love it.
thank you both very much.
Thank you,
I
Yvonne.
appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
so much for
Yes.
thank you so much, Yvonne.
See you
You
later. Bye-bye.
Bye, Yvonne.
bye, Yvonne. Thank you so much. So I love this, and I think that that was a great call because people don't
Great.
understand. It just backed up a lot of what we were talking about, how it's so hard to heal yourself. And again, I find a lot of people, they go through the healing process,
Mhm.
and I would love to hear your kind of thoughts on this real quick of they think they're doing the right thing, but yet they're not doing the right thing, like with
So
the
what's
healing.
driving that, right? So what's driving that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like Yvonne, okay. So and I don't know the situation, but I know for other clients that I've worked with that all of a sudden they're like, no, I've healed this trauma, mom trauma, dad trauma, ex trauma, whatever trauma, but yet they really never dealt with what they experienced, releasing, identifying what they went through, and forgiving themselves for still being bitter and angry. My mom always said the trauma she went through, she survived. And I said, well, mom, you got to let it go. You got to release it. And she says, I lived through it once. I'll never live through it again. And she was talking about her
Mhm.
reliving and releasing and bringing it up and understanding it to let it go, right?
Yeah.
It's like sorting through a house and going through the boxes. You're moving. I got to go through this box and see what's there and start, going through stuff and consolidating and removing and releasing and repacking. But most people never go through that stage, which is one of the most important in the healing process.
Yes. Yes, it really is. And it's the phase that like no one wants to go in and take a look at like what's in that old shoebox, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go back and take a look at what's there. But true healing occurs on many levels, and it does require going back. And it's interesting, I'll share this. When my mom, the last maybe 2 years of my mom's life, they say when you get older too, and you're nearing your time, you start to review your life while you're here. And so many of her memories, that unresolved circumstances in her life, were coming up for her. She was thinking about them and thinking about them. And for years, I actually just let her talk. She wanted to talk about them, and she would talk to me. We'd be on the phone sometimes 30 minutes, an hour, and she would just talk about, I mean, sometimes I heard things like 3 and 4 times, and it was challenging, but I knew what was happening was she was talking it out. Like energetically, she was talking about it and energetically releasing it as she was talking about it. And probably about 2 months before she passed, she said to me, she said, you listening to me and letting me talk about these things over and over and over again. She said, you helped me heal. You helped me heal, because she passed easily and peacefully. And it was because she had purged so much of her childhood and her adulthood that had just been suppressed throughout her whole life until she started talking about it.
That's amazing, because she knew, again, we get back into when we go for the life review process, okay, which this is a great segue, Pauline, for the karmic aspect of this, okay? So this is the karmic aspect, right? So when we go through the life review process, we see how we treated, or every interaction we've ever had with everything in our, that we've come across, including ourselves.
Yes.
Including ourselves,
Yeah.
which is very profound. So I love this. How does, and I'm sure a lot of this is in your book, The Little Blue Room, which you can find on Amazon, right? Pauline Raffaella. I'm sure that forgiveness or lack of forgiveness, okay, impacts karma. How do you feel that it impacts karma? One, forgiving others or not, and then 2, forgiving ourselves or not.
Yeah. Well, when my spiritual journey first started, I was guided by spirit to go back and heal things in my past that were unresolved. Now, that was not something I ever consciously thought I would do, but I was guided to do it. And, and in doing so, it wasn't easy, but in doing so, it cleansed my soul. It was the situation was over. And then I could say, I don't need to experience that again, whether it's with another person, another lifetime. I'm clearing the energy patterns and healing the energy patterns that attracted that situation. I'm forgiving by letting it go, by recognizing what I learned, how I've changed. And I was setting myself free. So from a karmic perspective, when we can forgive, we are truly setting ourselves free from not only that circumstance, perhaps even that person again. Okay, you talk about narcissists. You want to forgive, you want to let go, you want to just get away from them, because you don't ever want to have to relive that situation again with that person in another lifetime. So there's a freedom And everybody, we want freedom. We want to be karmically free.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and that really lightens up the soul. The soul just is able to step forward. So from a karmic standpoint, we forgive so that we don't have to repeat these situations over and over and over again, and we free ourselves.
I agree 1,000%, because what people don't realize is that the work has to get done.
It does.
Whether it gets done here, it gets done up there, or it comes back as karma, right? It always has to get done. The bill always has to get paid. I don't care if you pay it early, you pay it on time, you go to collections, at some point, you have to pay this bill. So one of the things, if you want to do the work, figure out what dynamic, if you had a horrible childhood, start the process, start forgiving, release that karma. And we don't have to carry the karma with us. We don't have to, once you're in the healing phase, you can say, I release, I take accountability for what I experience, even though the trauma was to me. Why did I stay there? I take accountability for staying. I take accountability for allowing. I forgive myself for experiencing all that I did that was not healthy for me. I experience carrying it with me and manifesting it within my body. See, once we start shifting this, then the healing process and the magic starts happening.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes. Forgiveness heals karma.
Absolutely.
Because there's no more cord now. There's no bond, there's no cord attached to have to come back or experience it even with somebody else. It's not there anymore. It dissolves.
Correct. I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
It's
And why?
really powerful work. It's really powerful work, and we don't want to undermine or mitigate how how much work is involved in it, and it may require a lot of tears, but it's okay.
It is okay. It's always okay. But why do you feel that it is so hard? Why don't you think more people do it? I mean, it seems to be the $1 million question right now.
So, that's such a good question. So why is it so hard? I think that it depends on the level of damage that may have been done to a person. Now, again, it may depend on that person, because there are people who have been able to forgive for situations like 9/11, and then there are people who will never forgive that. And so, and I remember sitting in a workshop many years ago, shortly after 9/11, and there were people screaming, somebody said, well, we need to forgive. And then there were other people screaming, how can we ever forgive this? And the answer is you have to go inside yourself. It isn't even about another person. It's about you and your relationship to God. And I believe if that is your foundation, you can potentially get to forgive some of the most challenging circumstances, right? Because you're separated. When you're not we're in separation. When we're not in separation with each other, perhaps we can see the bigger picture of something, and forgive. But listen, I'm not going to say here for parents that have murdered children. I mean, that's going to be a personal journey. I don't think that there's a formula that can be applied to that.
Yeah. I don't think there is a formula either. I think if you really want to embrace the healing process, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of carrying it with you, I think understanding that it's got to start with some forgiveness. I think it's also really hard for people to do that, because this is from my experience, and I would love to get your feedback or thoughts on this. Is that a lot of times, even though it was a very traumatic experience for the individual, they still don't always view the situation with Honest optics.
Well, if you're victimized, it's going to be harder.
Yeah. I find a lot of people,
Feel
even if
victimized.
it's a traumatic, horrific, dynamic between two individuals, usually the victim at some level will defend, make excuses. Oh, it's just their time period, or they had a tough life, or, they grew up non affectionate, or no, they were still always there for me. They did the best they could. Right. So we got to look at things through honest optics, honest eyes,
I like that.
transparency. We have to look at things and say, no, it doesn't mean that they were coming from a malicious point, but it did occur. It may have not been. A narcissist can sometimes be vicious. It could be, if they're a covert narcissist, that's just kind of their default setting, is always they're a boomerang. They'll do something, so it always comes back to them as some recognition, praise, control, manipulation, however that is, right? So we have to look at the situation honestly, through with complete transparency, to get to where we need to go.
Yeah. Well, and working with someone who can actually see the bigger picture, let's call it the karmic picture of it.
Mhm.
Right? You've been with this person before, and you have experienced this before, many lifetimes with this person. This is your lifetime to heal it, fix it, and end it. So, if we go back into past lives, there will, or like the Akashic records, there will be situations that show themselves that you've been in this place before and perhaps didn't forgive, or didn't make certain changes, or didn't get strong enough, and you're experiencing it again. And so we're living in a time right now where there's so much healing available to us on so many levels: physical, mental, emotional, past life, at the soul level. There's so much we can now heal, and many of us have agreed to come to earth now to experience many things, to heal it and shed these experiences from the etheric body, so that the soul, the etheric body is the blueprint of the soul, all of the soul's experiences, so that the soul can finally be free of these experiences. And whether that soul chooses to come back to earth again and live as a whole enlightened person, or however that is, or chooses to go off into another dimension, that's fine. But, we're here cleaning up a lot of baggage and assisting in the evolution of humankind.
I love that. Thank you for bringing up the past life connection. So, one thing I don't know if everybody knows about Pauline, she does readings on the Akashic records, on your Akashic records. Okay. So, this is going to be a little bit of a question for that. Okay. I know we're kind of veering off. You just mentioned it, you opened up the door. I find it really fascinating because I know somebody at home is thinking this. Okay.
Okay.
I might be psychic. I
Okay.
don't know.
Maybe
Just
little,
putting that out there. I might be a little psychic, just a wince.
little.
So, okay. We know we create karma, right? Through situations, good karma, bad karma, right? So, even as a victim, if we hold on to things, we can create negative karma for ourselves, correct? Correct? Okay. So, what about, how does it look? Is there something out there that is kind of predetermined, or how long, if we created karma in our past lives, in our Akashic records, how long, if we don't acknowledge, does it keep coming back as karma and snowballing?
So the answer to
This is the deep question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So based on what I know and how I have experienced certain things, the answer to that is yes, because the things that happened on the earth plane, all right, between two people or a group of people, When they pass away, they go into spirit and the soul will do some work. But it's my understanding that in order for the true healing to occur on many levels, it started on the earth plane, it needs to heal and finish on the earth plane. And so, okay, so a horrible, horrible marriage, an abusive marriage, right? They get divorced, they're bitter, they die, they go into heaven, they work on themselves, they heal, they do whatever they do. They come back, another lifetime, different century, whatever it is, they meet again. They meet again. And typically they fall instantly in love again because there's karma to heal. The connection is amazing, amazing love, and they get married again. And then after a little time, a year or 2 years, 5 years, whatever, all of a sudden things start to turn toxic and abusive again. And so this is a repetitive karmic pattern that needs to be healed. That's why I say working with someone who can see the bigger picture of why you've experienced what you have and give you the explanation of, look, you haven't, this is not a new rodeo for you. You've done this with this person a few times, and now is your time to heal it and let it go for good.
I agree 1,000%. I find that this is why it is very important to understand and work yourself through this healing process. And again, what do I say? It's always an inside job, right? So it all starts within here. And I also get, Pauline, a lot of people ask, so this loved one, or, my dad, let's just use father, okay? Was really traumatic and all of these experiences, but he's no longer here. He died. So I can't do this forgiveness or this healing. Guess what? Absolutely you can. People think you have to actually talk to the person to do this forgiveness process or this portion of the healing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to ever talk to them again if you choose not to.
Right.
Again, your subconscious dictates the size of your jail cell.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
The subconscious. Because if you want to make it a 6x6 and you want to say you want to live within that confines, go ahead. Or like what I did when my mom passed, as much as I put her on a pedestal and I love her and I would not change anything about her, there was still a lot of obstacles and opportunities within her life. So when she passed, we worked through them. And guess what? Their soul wants to do the work. They are there. They're all on board. They're ready to participate.
Yeah. The soul always wants to do the work. It's the ego.
Yes.
It's the ego that is terrified of doing the work.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yes.
Bing, the ego self. How to remove the ego self. And that could be, Pauline, I think we should just have a whole show talking about the ego dynamic.
That'll be very interesting. The ego
because
dynamic.
it hides like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It will hide behind the scenes in the shadows. And even when we think we're doing it for others, we're really doing it to feed our soul and to make us feel better. It has nothing to do with feeding little kids or feeding the homeless. I can say I donated time to feed the homeless. Well, guess what? That's ego, right? That's ego. So put that in the back burner.
Because if you're doing it and it's fulfilling you and helping someone, the truth is you don't even need to talk about it.
Yes.
You don't need to talk about it because you won't need the accolades and the praise or the anything else from anybody else saying, "Oh my God, that's so wonderful." You just don't need to talk about it. The journey of awakening, of healing, I'm going to say something a little bit crazy, is a silent inner journey. Silent inner journey between me, myself, and I, and God. And this is why we could potentially even look at people like Jesus and Rumi and some of the masters that walked the earth. They didn't talk much. They spoke in parables. They gave advice. They told you to forgive. They they would say things that to the average human, she was like, what the heck are they saying? What are they talking about? We're only really starting to understand all this now because they had that silent thing going on inside of them. We never need to boast. We never need to do any of that.
Yeah.
When we are whole and healed on the inside.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love
So
it. So
that's very, very deep. But again, you can read about that in my book, The Little Blue Room. That's the journey that I've been on for 35 years or so.
yeah, I love it. And so, Pauline, tell people kind of like how can they reach out to you if they're looking to do connecting with their Akashic records, their past lives, or doing some healing work, trauma work, whatever it may be. Tell them about where they can reach you, what do you have going on, and all the good stuff.
Good. Thank you so much. Yep. PaulineRaffaella.com is my website. I think that there have been some new people that have joined the free Living Limitless membership. So that gives them access to my website. And you can get on the website and send me a message, contact me. If you are interested in a session, a private session, and or a reading, and some of my workshops are fully booked and but I will start to put this out there. On August 8th, which is the Lion's Gate, and actually that's a Thursday, Richard. So we're going to be on the air that day. It's going to be profound. I am holding that evening. I am having a Lion's Gate journey up into the temple, up into the fifth dimension. It is going to be incredible. So you can find me on Facebook as well, Pauline Raffaella, Instagram, Pauline Raffaella. I do advertise and I send out my email event listing, and that will be on it.
I love that. And again, you could always get your copy of The Little Blue Room. I know a lot of our listeners and viewers at home, also on Spotify, Guided by Spirit, have picked up that book and they've reached out and said, Rich, I just got Pauline's book. I love it. I'm halfway through and just enjoying the journey. So
it's going to trigger. It's going to trigger you. It's going to hit certain points in parts of your own life, that need a little bit of healing. And I just want to say one other thing. I'm now offering what's called a free healing hour, I have two of my Reiki master students. They're my guys. And we transmit energy to the group, whoever's online, for about an hour. And people were experiencing extraordinary healings. It's free. You have to be on my events calendar to get the invite. And we have Tony and Brooks on the line transmitting energy. And then I do a little galactic download at the end. And people were saying, wow, wow, wow. It's free. So if you're interested in something like that, contact me through my website and get on the mailing list.
So I will say, Tony is, not only do I know him, but he is a phenomenal heart-centered healer. Definitely works in the Christ consciousness vibration, God component. I will tell you, he is amazing. I have a friend who's been battling ovarian cancer for 7 to 8 years. The struggle, she is just such a fighter. She puts Rocky to shame. Sorry, Philly. But I got to tell you, it's been a long journey. Well, we talked and she was like, I'm even having a hard time seeing. My vision is just getting bad. I can't leave the house now because of the type of chemotherapy that they're doing, and the drugs she's taking. She's like, Rich, and we were in the optical business together. We met each other many moons ago. And she says, I just can't see. I said, well, would you be open to some healing if I have somebody reach out to you? And she's like, absolutely. Right. So Tony met up with her via Zoom. All of a sudden I get this message, you will not believe what happened. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, what happened? Is it bad? Is it this? She goes, Tony just did a healing session on me. I can see.
It's a
I said,
miracle.
what do you mean you can see? I said, you can't even leave the house because the prescription. She goes, Richard, I can see. She's like, it literally happened after a couple hours. My vision started getting better and better and better. And now I can see. And she goes, and then messaged me a couple of days later, I can still see. So I got to tell you, again, Pauline's healers are, and I haven't met Brooks, but I'm sure I know where the training and everything comes into play. Tony, phenomenal. So anybody that is looking to receive healings, chronic illness, trauma, whatever it is, again, you don't even have to, the person that needs to be there, you can just show up for a person that might need healing or just, whatever it is. Paul, these healers are amazing. I can't say enough. I just had to share that.
Yeah, thank you. I take that training Reiki masters, I take it very, very, very seriously. And I make sure that they know as much as possible, almost as much as I do. But then after they become Reiki masters, there is a program to continue. There's always more to learn. But I'm very proud of the Reiki masters that I have trained.
I will tell you, like, it is unbelievable. And I do that when I teach mediumship. I take it very seriously. I give 1,000%. I find that it is very impactful. You know, I teach kind of like you. I teach them to be just as good, if not better than myself, because that's how the true, throw the pebble into the stream and watch the ripples set out into the world. And that's how we have to do this to hold light for everybody out there. Anybody looking to get in contact with me, richardlarocco.com. You can also go to Spotify, Guided by Spirit, listen to any of the episodes that you have missed. Also, other stuff. We have talks, we have some classes. We also have stuff on Amazon, Guided by Hurting to Healing, Hurting the number 2 Healing, all one word, publications. We have dealing with trauma, spiritual self, manifesting, and shadow work. Again, I have sessions coming up. I will be all over. You can go to richardlarocco.com to see where my next event is. I think May 11th, I'm in Harrisburg this Saturday, and then May 11th, I will be outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. And then coming up north back on Long Island, probably summertime, and then Connecticut beginning of June. So I will be all over traveling. Again, everyone, thank you so much for reaching out. If you have any comments about any future shows, anything you would like to talk about, we welcome your calls. We welcome your suggestions, any topics that you're looking to have. Please send us a comment, a message, whatever it may be. But thank you, everybody, for listening and for, forgiving.
Yes. Forgiving.
Forgiving. All right, Pauline. Well, you have an amazing week. Thank you for joining us. And everyone out there, have a great week. Stay centered, stay grounded, and feel the love.
Yes. From my heart to yours, be in the light. Sending you all much love. Thank you for listening.